A warning for listeners, this episode contains descriptions of violence and death. We advise listener discretion.
There was no inclination that we were going to walk up on the carnage that we walked up on.
Officers go through extensive training to respond under pressure, but that night it feels as though Captain Tiener's training, experience, and instincts were tested like never before.
Before I ever get home, it's all over international news. And then like a week later, when I kind of processed it, I said, no, the right people were on that call. Like I needed to be on that call. My brothers and sisters in blue that were there needed to be on that call because we knew what to do. I would hate for a rookie officer to live their career if they stayed in this field second guessing. I could have kicked that door 30 seconds earlier and things may have been different.
Captain Tiener was the first to arrive at the Broken Arrow home July 22nd, 2015. He discovers a trail of blood leading to the front door, and from somewhere inside, he could hear a quiet plea. As he kicks the door in at 709 Magnolia Court, he discovers 13-year-old Crystal laying 8 to 10 feet inside and in desperate need of medical attention.
The blood went all the way from outside through the doorway to where she was at, and she was losing a massive amount of blood. I kind of flipped into investigator mode. I did 4 years in investigations, and I honestly assumed that Crystal wasn't going to make it, given her current condition and the speed at which she was losing blood. Couldn't even see all of her injuries.
What Captain Tiener can see were 2 other victims, not the person or persons responsible for mutilating them. He starts talking to Crystal.
I said, hey, we're here to help. I said, who did this to you? And she identifies that it was her brothers, Robert and Michael. And asked if they were still there. She said, I think so.
As backup arrives, Crystal is rushed to an ambulance. Captain Tiener continues moving through the 4,600 square foot home, clearing it room by room.
We ended that in the upstairs bedroom. I believe it was probably built out after the fact over the garage, and an additional room that was the nursery. And that's where the baby was at, in a bassinet.
The child was unharmed, but in under an hour, she was robbed of the chance to ever know her parents and 3 of her older siblings. I'm Brenna Rose, and this is Massacre on Magnolia Court, Episode 2, Inside the Door.
It is a difficult day in this Broken Arrow neighborhood. We're just behind me, a family of 5 stabbed to death. Let me show you the scene of what's happening right now. Broken Arrow police still continue to canvass the scene with the help of the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation. One by one, they're slowly leaving, implying that the investigation might slowly be wrapping up for today. Inside that bright and dark gray home is where a family of 5 stabbed to death. Now, the suspects, 2 of them, in custody.
Before sunrise, word spread through Broken Arrow that something terrible had happened on Magnolia Court. Neighbors stepped outside to dozens of cop cars, yellow police tape, and the street was lined with camera crews. By daylight, the entire state was watching.
We know that officers responded here after receiving a call about an unknown problem. Once they got here, they made that gruesome discovery. 5 people dead, a young girl critically injured, and another juvenile who was not hurt.
In the chaos of that night, nothing was clear, not even who managed to make that desperate call for help.
Oh, my brother's attacking my family.
At first, officers thought the 13-year-old girl found near the front door was the one who dialed 911, but later they learned it was her younger brother, Daniel. Crystal was the first victim in the attack. Her survival was uncertain.
The one living victim, who's a juvenile, is currently at a Tulsa hospital receiving treatment for her injuries. She's currently critical, and last I heard she's in surgery.
Her throat was slit, and her injuries did not end there. She was stabbed repeatedly, suffering deep wounds to her abdomen and multiple injuries consistent with trying to block the attack.
Someone gets in a fight, there's an altercation, you get a bloody nose or a busted lip, there's going to be some blood. There's not going to be this amount of blood. This was definitely an arterial bleed. So I knew we had somebody that was either had passed or was headed that direction quickly.
Even with catastrophic injuries, Crystal refused to give up. The trail of blood Captain Tiener spoke of was not random. It was her path to survival.
The fact that she was in that medical condition, that she was able to stay conscious, manipulate a door lock, get out the front door, leave all that evidence outside to know that we had something else inside, and then she was obviously attacked again and drugged back in the house and lived through all of that.
She woke up after surgery in a Tulsa hospital unable to speak and had to communicate with a nurse through writing. It's there she learned her youngest sister was unharmed and identified her 2 older brothers as the attackers. Crystal had lived through the unthinkable, but survival came with its own kind of suffering. The K2L evening broadcast that day acknowledged the weight of what lay ahead.
It's not only those who are deceased who are the victims, those who are left as survivors need help as well, don't they?
They certainly do. I really can't imagine the amount of trauma that this 13-year-old and the 2-year-old are suffering.
Just a tragic situation here at this neighborhood in Broken Arrow. Now the 13-year-old is in serious but stable condition. The 2-year-old, since police have now found a closer relative, she's in protective custody right now, but hopefully police say they will be able to go and stay with that relative.
In those early hours, one detail stood out: how hard it was to find relatives of the surviving children. Investigators noticed it too, and it raised a question that would stay with them. Why? As I started digging deeper into this case, my thoughts kept circling back to the same place: Crystal's strength. And I'm not the only one.
She really is like the hero of this call for all of us, because we couldn't have done what we did without her.
Part of that job? Arresting her 2 older brothers who fled out the back of the home. Investigators quickly realized they hadn't gone far. A K-9 team, handler Mark Baldwin and his dog, picked up a trail leading into the nearby woods. Here's Broken Arrow Sergeant Thomas Cooper describing what happened next.
They were apprehended in a greenbelt area behind the house, and they were arrested. A 16-year-old and an 18-year-old male were arrested. The 2 suspects are in relation to the victims. They were a family.
Within an hour of arriving, Captain Tiener was leading 16-year-old Michael Bever from the woods to a waiting patrol car.
He said, "You guys did a really good job. We didn't expect you here this quick." So it's like, you've just killed your entire family, including your parents, the 2 people at that age that you should love the most in life, and you're telling the police that just showed up and walked through that house, seeing your murdered family, "Hey, good job, guys. You really did a better job than we expected."
The remark stunned investigators. It was their first real glimpse into just how little remorse these brothers seemed to have. It wasn't just what Michael said. According to Corporal Leon Calhoun, it was how 18-year-old Robert Bever looked.
His mouth looked to me like he had a smirk on his face. Just don't know if he's even comprehending what has happened, or if he just really is so removed that he can't feel remorse.
Photos taken just after the arrest show Robert with body armor on under a black t-shirt. There's blood that's visible on both his clothing and face. His younger brother Michael is barefoot, wearing shorts with a t-shirt that's ripped. They're both covered in dirt. A snapshot of 2 teenagers who had just torn their family apart and seemed almost detached from the horror that they'd caused. In the hours that followed, detectives began determining how that horror unfolded. One of them was Broken Arrow detective Eric Bentz.
I was home asleep. I got a phone call, woke up, got ready, responded. My captain told me that I was going to be the one to interview the 2 suspects. So I immediately, with another detective, went to the jail to pick up Michael Bever, who was there. So he had been processed into the jail. He had cut himself during the attacks. It wasn't that bad, but possibly was going to need stitches.
And so he went with Michael to the hospital for treatment.
I had a car ride there with him. In that situation, since he's a suspect and I'm going to do an interview with him, I don't really talk a whole lot to him. And, if they start talking and saying things, I'll join the conversation, but I don't want to ask questions and get into the meat of the crime while we're just driving. Just talking, saying things, just like it was a normal Wednesday night for him. He didn't seem upset or I think initially he was a little bit nervous how he was going to be handled by the police, but, real quick, I think he realized that, it's not like he was going to be hurt or attacked or anything. So we take him to the hospital. He was talking to hospital staff. He wasn't crying. There was not really much emotion from him. Definitely not emotion you would expect after what he had just done to his whole family.
Once doctors finished stitching him up, detectives headed to the police station, and on the way, Detective Bentz asked Michael if he was hungry.
So I said, well, there's Chick-fil-A. What about that? He didn't know any. It was almost like he had never heard of Chick-fil-A. And so I told him what it was.
It was such a small thing, a question about fast food, yet it revealed a lot.
When he told me the only fast food place he'd ever been to was a McDonald's, I just was kind of shocked a little bit.
They arrived at the Broken Arrow police station, the same place I was when I asked this to Detective Bentz. How forthcoming was he?
He was pretty open. I had to kind of lead the show, though. I had to ask the questions, and he would answer it partially or not completely, or even with some half-truths or deception or minimizing. That's a lot of what he did. And so I would have to ask follow-up questions to dig more information out of him.
Michael walked detectives through that night step by step, including how he and Robert escaped the home.
There was a knock at the door.
Okay.
Someone knocked at the door. I think that might be the neighbor because the police wouldn't be there yet.
But according to Captain Teener, he was there, knocking and announcing before kicking down the door. The timing suggests he was just seconds away from encountering the brothers before they fled through the back.
They just kept knocking on the door, so we turned around. I grabbed on, put my soft vest, the heavy vest on. I was carrying the plates. I put my helmet on. And then we went up the back door of Daryl's office, climbed over the fence, went down into the park, and started cutting through the woods. We both collapsed. I think so. We were just sitting there when they found us.
That's how you got kind of dirty and stuff, dirt on you. So you guys collapsed. Were you just kind of hiding out?
Yeah, we were just laying in a little ditch thing in the woods, and then we saw the light, and we went down, and the dog came over.
Did you hear the dog coming?
Mm-hmm. I heard them coming. I saw it coming, and then they started yelling, "Put your hands up!" Mm-hmm. And I stepped on my head and handcuffed me.
At times, it's hard to understand what Michael is saying. But what is clear, there's no emotion. None whatsoever.
Mom came in yelling, "Call the police." And then he went over and stabbed her.
Then he stabbed her?
Yeah, he probably stabbing her, pushed her, footed down the hallway.
What he's describing, the attack on his own mother.
I started getting the idea that he was really trying to minimize his involvement in what happened. I felt like he was in a state of shock almost, even though he's a suspect and he assisted in murdering 5 of his family members. That's still a trauma, even if you're the one doing it, and it's not like he's ever experienced anything that gruesome before. So I think it did affect him emotionally. So his emotions were very flat, and he just seemed like he was a little nervous, a little bit scared almost. And you can kind of tell like it's slowly setting in what he's done. And he still just had no understanding.
Michael's description of what happened to his father is just as mechanical.
They got a little bit of fight, but they eventually, got him down.
Did he cut his throat too?
He nods his head.
Where did that happen?
In our room.
In your room?
Yeah.
Where were you?
I was standing in the hallway.
Okay. So did you see him cut your dad's throat?
Michael nods again.
Did he stab him other places too?
I don't know. I think he just met with it too. And then basically after that, the funeral was pretty much dead. We forgot about it.
Who was dead?
Everyone, I think.
Okay.
It looks like they were dead except for Crystal. She was lying at the TV screaming.
What he says next is chilling.
Then there was Autumn. She's a baby. She's about to toddler. She was up in her bed.
Was it the plan was to kill her too, though?
It's what kept us human, yeah.
Those words matched what investigators had already found inside the Bever home, and soon those details would reach the public.
On top of that, the carnage wasn't supposed to just stop here. They had potentially a list of other victims that they were going
outside of their family.
Yes, outside of their family.
Former K2L News anchor Kristen Dickerson has a look of bewilderment, her mouth open as she absorbs the information in real time and live on air. the scope of the carnage, and the blueprint showing this was only the beginning. Next on Massacre on Magnolia Court.